Good morning, friends. It's Kate from Venison for dinner, and we're out in the barn this morning getting the animals taken care of. As you can see, Mabel's got a few cuts going on her teats, but she doesn't seem to mind them, and we put salve on them. Jess is getting milk this morning, and this in-between weather, it makes it hard to keep the cows clean because it's so much muckier. Once it gets like minus 10 Celsius, everything dries out a lot more and the cows are a lot cleaner. Or when it's summer and they're out on pasture, right? Hey, if you like what we're doing, make sure that you hit that thumbs up, leave a comment. We love your comments. You guys are so fun. And subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Subscribing and liking and commenting also makes it so that other people find our videos, because then YouTube's like, hey, people like this person. We should show this to more people. It was warm and we filled a cube full of water, and then it got cold again, so hair dryer to the rescue. It's the only place we actually use a hair dryer anymore. Chickens are starting to wake up. We have a light on for them this time of year. Then back up to the house for us to deal with milk and get on breakfast. I need to deal with milk today, but I don't really feel like making a wheel of cheese, so I'm gonna do some other things. So I'm taking the older milk and bringing it upstairs, and there's lots of laundry involved with having a milk cow as well. The littles are drinking some hot chocolate and watching a cartoon for a few since everybody else was busy doing chores. And Freya's getting going on some dishes. There's always dishes. We had ice cream before bed. That's what these dishes are. Breakfast is rice pudding, which is some leftover rice, which I added milk, applesauce, and cinnamon to. And I had it just slowly simmering away. Coffee time, of course. And on top of our rice pudding, we add some coconut sugar. We could add maple syrup, but there's something nostalgic because it's kind of like the brown sugar of my childhood. So into skimming cream. It's there's not really much of an art to it. It's just a matter of getting the cream off the top. The skim milk, I was going to just feed it to the pigs because growing bacon is a perfectly good use for skim milk. But then I decided that I was going to make mozzarella today. We're doing our best to stay healthy with some different homemade tinctures, and Rowan loves to dose out the tinctures, which we add a little bit of juice to mask the flavor. So the metal pot is the mozzarella milk. So this is going to be a skim milk mozzarella, which is not as soft and tender as a whole milk mozzarella, but it's going to be delicious, of course, and it's a great use for skim milk. Jars are infinitely easier to deal with if you just wash them right away before the milk dries on. So I try to just wash as I go, and if I wash them with really hot water, they dry really fast and can be put away really fast. Because today I think I dealt with about 6 or 8 jars of milk. The wood cook stove is the perfect temperature this morning to just warm up this milk for me. I did open up the damper a bit, and it had to be fed because it had kind of been left since breakfast, so maybe it wasn't quite the perfect temperature, but it easily became so. I decided to pour off some of the cream to make sour cream. So I'm using clabber culture, which is what I'm shaking here. And it just takes a bit of clabber culture in the cream, and we shake it up well, and then put it somewhere warm for about 24 hours. So perfect. Here's somewhere warm, right on top of the cook stove. The milk needs to warm up to about body temperature. And then, once again, washing more milk jars. The kids were washing dishes, but I wanted to just get these dealt with and out of the way. We're just about there. It's at 82, and I want it to be about 86. So this is the rennet that has to be diluted in water. And we always add the clabber culture first, which is 1/4 cup per gallon. I am using roughly Robin cheese from scratch, her clabber culture mozzarella. This is not a fast mozzarella to make. This takes all day to make, which sometimes I regret because I actually didn't get this going very early in the morning, and there was some regrets later in the day. There is some bubbles in these curds that if these curds were floating, that would be a red flag to this being contaminated. But I know I actually heated the milk a little too warm, and then I stirred it a little too hard. So this is actually just because it was coagulating so fast while the milk still had some motion to it, that's why there's these cracks and holes. It's not bad, they're not floating, we're fine. The curds then, after I've stirred them a bit, they need to be stirred on the stove. It only takes about 5 minutes before it gets tucked away, and you want them to be as firm as a poached egg white. I love descriptors like that. Okay, so this has now been like 6 hours from when I left that pot and put aside the cream to these next steps I'm doing. To know if mozzarella is ready to stretch, you do what's called the tea bag test. You basically steep a cup of tea, but the mozzarella is your tea bag. So, boiling water in a mug, 2 to 3 minutes, and if it stretches really nicely, it's ready. This was not ready. I also knew that my cream had warmed up enough. This is kind of the minimum amount of cream I'd want to do in this churn. It's only 3 quarts. Ideally, I'm using like 4 to 6 quarts of cream. It just churns better. My cream was also a little on the cold side. I could have left it more like 8 to 10 hours because it took longer than it should have. It can be done in like 5 or 10 minutes tops if the cream's a good temperature. I'm aiming for like 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And at that temperature, it churns really fast, and it's also still easy to handle, because if it's too warm, you end up with a whipped butter that is really hard to handle. So I do err on the side of colder over warmer, but as you can see it going through the different stages here, first it's really splashy, then it's really thick, and then it gets really thick again before it starts to separate like it is now, but then I wanted it to be in bigger chunks. This is still really grainy, and it's better if it's in a lot bigger chunks, which you'll see in a minute. But all this wait time made for lots of different board games, and we had fun with that. So it is now about 7:30 at night. The butter is finally done, and we can deal with that, but the mozzarella is not done yet, friends. How beautiful is this? How beautiful. Yes, you can say buttermilk, but we just feed it to our pigs or chickens because we have enough milk in this house, and growing bacon is a perfectly good use of buttermilk. So I strain it right into a feed bucket, and then Hamish is bringing it outside so that it makes it out to the pigs. After I've squeezed out as much of the buttermilk, I'm a little unconventional. I don't wash my butter. I don't salt my butter. Why is this? Because it doesn't make that much difference in the end product, and it streamlines the process. I'm making butter multiple times a week, and I want it to be as simple as possible. So I measure out my butter. I either do 4-ounce blocks or I do 1-pound blocks. And I only do that size blocks, and if I have like 3 ounces left over, then I will just make it a ball. So I know that anytime it's a block, I know it's 4 ounces, which is half a cup, and that makes it easy for baking, and it fits nicely in a butter dish, and this is just my method. So I always chill it before I bag it up. Lots of lovely yogurt up there too. So we're gonna try the mozzarella again, and I was really, really hoping it was done because I was really ready to be done for the day and regretting my decisions on starting clabber mozzarella so early. So late in the day. There was a moment where I was like, if I wasn't filming this, maybe I would have given up and fed this to the pigs. But friends, we persevered. So finally we have a nice stretch. It's hard to show you how nice of a stretch it is, but it's a very nice stretch. So again, we're pouring off the whey. If the curds have sunk, the whey pours off really nicely. You see how clear this whey is? There's no butter fat left behind. And that's because I skimmed all the cream. If you had left a lot of cream on, you would probably lose some of it in the whey, just because of how it is. So I'm covering it with water I boiled in the kettle and gonna let it sit for those curds to start heating up. Now I'm gonna tell you, I should have used way more hot water. First I flipped them because the bottoms were not as nice as the top. But I should have used way more hot water and it would have stretched way nicer. But again, friends, this was the end of the day and I was kind of done. So each of those chunks, to make it easier to deal with, first I'm just making them into a bit of a ball, and then I put them back in the pot to sit in the hot water for a little more. And you can see more whey is coming out of the cheese into the hot water. So this water too will also go to the pigs. Nothing is wasted, and I think if you have a milk cow, it's not a full circle unless you also have pigs or chickens or a year-round garden that you can fertilize with your whey and skim milk. I would not want to have a milk cow without pigs or chickens. So once it's stretched so that it's no longer grainy, I just put it aside. And I'm being super lazy about it today. Sometimes I put it in a salt brine or cold water so it stays in nice balls. But I'm just putting it all in a container and we're going to have pizza tomorrow night. So I got 2 3/4 pounds out of 3 gallons of milk, which is average for skim milk. So into the fridge for tomorrow. A quick check on the sour cream tells me it's not quite done. It was pretty close, but I'm going to leave it till tomorrow. Now we're going to finish off the evening with a game of chess, which is not a game I have mastered, but it was enjoyable to watch them do it. Have a lovely day, friends. I hope you enjoyed watching this.